Welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, I'm just going to go ahead and recap what I learned this week. I talk with about a dozen to 20 different hosts throughout the course of every single week, and they range from very new investors that are just getting into this space and they're just learning about co-living. They're super excited, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I talk to new investors that bought their first property and then the light bulb went off. They're like, don't really understand what's going on here. And I really don't know how to make money using the platform. And then I talk to experienced professionals who own a portfolio of these, who themselves had the same questions. I'm not generating the same amount of profit that I used to. I'm not getting the amount of gross revenue that I used to. And I'm surely not getting the same amount of net revenue that I'm used to. I'm going to touch on this, but today's episode, we're really going to focus on the brand new investor. If this sounds like somebody, that resonates with you, I'm excited to get into co-living. I've watched and researched a ton. I've gone to YouTube University. Hell, I've even gone off and paid for somebody to educate me on this. And there's a difference between theory and learning theory. And then there's a difference between actually the operating business and learning how to operate the business. And the true differential that I think people have to learn is you should learn the operating business first, how people make money in this space. And then you should take those same learnings and start defining your own business plan around, this is the business that I want to run. It happens to utilize the framework of co-living, shared spaces, single room occupancy. That's the business model. Whatever platform you decide to go with, it doesn't really matter. But I'm primarily going to speak to those people that are going to plan on using PadSplit because that's just the space that I know. And the reason I know it is I've worked here for over 4 years. And that learning, that's the reason that I've spent so much time focusing on my PadSplit business because I'm so deep in it. I know how to use the platform better than most because I'm in it every single day. This is my full-time job. And then I talk to so many investors, whether you're rocking it and killing it for every single room at 85, 95, 100% occupancy. And I talk to investors that are on the other side. I'm just into it. I'm at 50% occupancy. I have a lot of turnover. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Both of those are operators in our space. Both of those gives great lessons that I'm going to talk to today. Okay, so let's start off. Ideas are great. Execution is everything. If any of this information resonates with you and you're looking for more detailed information about how to become a well-educated co-living investor and operator, just visit us down here at CoLivingiQ.com. Take a look at all the different things that we have in our community, whether it's operational, whether it's blueprints, whether it's a framework, or whether it's simply learning the business before you jump in with both feet. I hope you take a look, learn what you need to learn, but before you do anything, educate yourself about the operating business you're getting into before you buy your property. If you have not purchased your first property, I want you to consider this. Don't just run out and buy the property because then you have to retrofit the business back into the property. Talk to those investors. If you have an account executive or a host success person, or if you have a host advisor and you've already created an account at PadSplit, leverage the data, leverage the network. That's the number one value you get out of being a PadSplit host. It's you get access. You're inside the clubhouse. You get access to, hey, can you introduce me to other investors in my market? Whether it be Baltimore, whether it be Richmond, whether it be Phoenix, whether it be Kansas City, or whether it be my home market of Atlanta. Introduce me, please, to the investors that are doing well. Introduce me to new investors. Make this part of your educational journey as you're informing yourself on educating yourself on where should I buy? Because the big thing that I don't want people to understand, our business is not just turning 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses into 8-bedroom, 3-bath houses. That's not the business anymore. It used to be when we had 100 doors, 500 doors, 1,000 doors, or hell, even when I joined, almost 4 years ago, we had 3,000 total bedrooms in Atlanta. Yesterday, when I looked at the numbers, we have almost 11,000. So when people ask me the question, hey, is Atlanta saturated? Could be, maybe. And that's a shocking answer to some. I continue to invest in Atlanta. Why? Because when I look at the market as a macro, the market continues to grow, the demand side. So you got to remember, PadSplit's a two-sided marketplace. We have supply, that's you, the investor, putting on houses. We have demand, that's the renter. Our demand market is probably higher, bigger, and more well-known than any other market in the country because we have 9,000 doors filled, got 30,000 people that we've serviced in this market. People know we exist. So getting more people into the rooms may not be as much of a hardship or difficulty if I'm in a brand new market like Kansas City or Oregon or Sacramento, whatever the case may be. The demand side of the market may not even know who we are. So how do we get rooms filled? Well, it's the customer. The customer has to know we exist. So plus sides and downsides of each market. I'm going to speak about my own journey and the hosts that I speak with every single week. Okay. Saturation. Where should I buy? I'm concerned about saturation. I'm concerned about this. Like, is it going to fill? My rooms aren't filling. That's what I hear from existing hosts. I asked a simple question very forward, and I need you to start asking yourself this before you buy your first product. What do I want to put on? I'm opening up a business here. Just like me, you're going to open up a business. It's going to have one building. It's essentially, take this in mind, you're buying a single family asset to yield multi-family returns. That's why our business model works. Understand that. We're literally putting out 6, 7, 8 bedroom little multi-family houses, but we get all the benefits of a single family acquisition, meaning we get 30-year debt. I don't have to buy on a cap rate, meaning like what is the cash flow? I can buy distressed properties, put the renovation, use the financing arm to either burr my money back out on the refinance. It gives you a really, really simple framework on how to buy. That's the easy part. And I always say this and take this to heart. Buying your property will be the easiest step in this entire journey. If you buy the right property, that's when the nuance starts to make a big difference, whether you're going to be successful as an operator. So I talked to a brand new host yesterday. They're super excited. They've been researching this thing for over 2 years. I probably met this gentleman 2 years ago, and it was a meetup. Great. He found us, came in through a different channel. The guys that do a lot of creative financing, super excited. And now he's ready to jump in. And he's so excited, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. He wants to jump in and buy a property. His question is, hey, what market should I buy in? Whoa, fella, let's slow down. Let's identify before you jump in what business you want to buy. And you can do this research on your own. And here's the scoop. You can go to PadSplit. You can act like a member, open it up, find a room, and start looking at the map. Start identifying and reverse engineering what areas look like they have high occupancy. Click on the thing. It says, hey, 1 room available, 2 rooms available, 4 rooms available, whatever the case may be. You can identify what areas have good occupancy. Second part, as you're clicking through these houses, you're now identifying what kind of properties am I going to be competing with if I buy in this neighborhood? How much density is there? Do they all look the same? Are the price points exactly the same? Am I buying a property and a business where I become just another fish in a big ocean in a sea of same? My $159, $169 room, am I going to have to turn around and like really compete on price because I'm just a commodity? Think about that. So when people ask me about saturation, I explain that my theory is more around as our market continues to develop, I think of it like Uber. There are Uber share down here. There is Uber middle, normal. There's Uber black up here. So like you have this option of like, what marketplace do you want to compete in? On the flip side of that, I think of our members this way. We have dollar store members, we got Walmart members, and we got Target members. I personally am trying to attack this gap between the Walmart member and the Target member. In my business, I'm trying to de-risk for the things that are going to affect my personal business, my property. Take this to heart. I'm an employee. Just keep that in mind. But at the same time, I'm also a host and an investor. Why do I use PadSplit? Because we're the 800-pound gorilla in the entire marketplace. I have the mentality that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running my co-living property and business on this platform. They are a vendor. I'm going to squeeze the crap out of that percentage that I'm paying, and I'm going to get everything I can out of the fees that I'm paying the platform. So that means, do I know how to use the digital platform better than anybody else? Probably. I'd probably put up my understanding of our platform against anybody else because I've been here and I'm in it every single day. You probably are not. So you better put it in your mind that like that's a deficiency as you get into this business, and you better ramp that up because you're going to have to learn, how do I compete to get my listing more views? Because just putting up the pictures, that ain't good enough anymore, right? You can put it up there and hope, but I always tell you, hopium is not a strategy. Learn the platform, learn what widgets and levers you have to maximize visibility, because in a two-sided marketplace, and I just use this example with the host that I was working with, that he's like, had the same problem. Hey, I'm not getting enough views. So I'm not getting any booking requests. So I don't even have people that I say yes or no to. I just launched a brand new house. One of the things that I needed to replace was toilet paper holders and dispensers for the bathrooms. Don't ask. Like I still make mistakes. So I opened the Amazon window and I said, equate this to our marketplace. At Amazon, boop, boop, boop. Toilet paper dispensers, either freestanding. Okay. And there were thousands of them available on the Amazon marketplace. Okay. Which one did I want? I could either choose by price, by reviews, by speed in which it's going to deliver. I opened the other window and I said, this is what your property looks like when people are looking to rent your room. You're just a room and a picture on an entire marketplace. You're no different than all these other pictures if you're just a commodity. So you better compete on photos, location, price, speed to fill. Those are the things that you have to compete with at the same exact time. So choosing a toilet paper dispenser, unfortunately, is the analogy that I use, is equivalent to somebody choosing to click on your tile to decide whether you want to book. So then switch back to the analogy of the toilet paper dispenser. I chose one. Boom. Why? Because it's going to deliver tomorrow and the price is acceptable and the reviews were fine. Okay. Now I went from the marketing window of the Amazon marketplace. Now I'm in that person's storefront. And it tells me, do I want to buy today, and different ways that I can pay and all this other stuff. And I clicked, put it in my cart, and off I went, right? And I put the order in. It's the same thing that happens in our digital marketplace. Somebody likes your photo, likes the location, likes the price, likes everything. I go from the marketing page, which is the dashboard of all the little houses that are available. And then boom, I click into your listing. And now all the rooms that are available in your listing are now, I'm in your storefront. I now can choose which room that I want to book on. A lot of different strategies and nuances. Experienced hosts like me, we're using different levers to get more visibility, move up higher and lower on the algorithm. All of those things you need to learn, or at least be aware that you need to learn through your journey. So just put that as a little golden nugget on the side for you as you consider, if you're an existing host struggling, take a look at your listing, see what you compare against, what your competition is doing, and make some changes. I've talked to so many hosts. They have not changed their listing since they onboarded in 20, 22, 24, doesn't matter. It's not a static listing. The other part, and this is just, put this a caveat, stop lying to our customers. If you have a picture and it's beautifully artificially intelligence used for virtual staging, and they open the door when they book that room and they start moving in on the first day and it looks completely different, you're going to have a problem. Get into the mindset of your paying customers. Are you delighting them when they open the door? Are you meeting their expectation when they get in the door? Or are you just pissing them off because you feel like you catfished them? Right? Those are the things that are real. Our business is not just about getting them the book and the occupancy. It is about the tenure and the value that they get. So I talk about it with my team. Our customers come for the price because they don't know what the experience is, but they stay for the experience. Our job is to be able to communicate the value as quickly as possible, have them experience that value, and then have them stay for as long as possible, because every single month that goes by, they could either pay $1,800 for the apartment that they were in, or they can pay $1,000 for the room that they're in my house. That value proposition is real. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go back into it. If you're a brand new host and you're looking at, I want to jump into it. Where should I buy? It's not as simple as that. You need to start by understanding the operating business. And then you need to back into where you want to buy something that meets that operating business. The way I explained it is, in your own head, you have to become the COO, the chief operating officer of your business. And you need to talk to the chief acquisition officer, which you could be the same exact person. But you better have some criteria in which you are buying toward. I want to run a business in my world where I'm chasing that customer between Walmart and Target. I think that demographic and space in there is really something that we can take advantage of, because in our marketplace, we've got plenty of assets out there that are just commodities. It's a room. Early generation hosted a lot of smaller rooms, and it made a ton of sense, right? They were brand new. They didn't know what they were getting into, and they realized that the supply they were putting out there for 9x10, 8x10 rooms with minimal things in them, there's a lot of those out there, and they're all competing based on price. And if you start looking at the dashboard, you start seeing, hey, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction. That's what commodities do. I don't want to compete as a commodity. So as a business owner, same platform, the way I attack our business is I have a very targeted ICP, ideal customer profile. Other people want to call it an avatar. I know who I'm trying to attack and who I'm trying to come to my house and live, because I know that that person it's de-risking my business. You're going to hear me say de-risk a lot. So just understand, I'm trying to de-risk for two major things. One, can you pay my rent on time every single week or biweekly if you so decide to? And two, are you a jerk? Because I don't want jerks in my house, because I have 6, 7, 8 people that live in my houses. You can't be a jerk. If you don't have the patience and you don't have the willingness to live in a community with other people, you're probably not going to be a good fit. There are plenty of rooms and houses out there that may be a perfect fit for you, because I've heard it. I've heard people talking about it. I've heard them talk about, hey, my members don't ever talk to each other. Great. That is a version of co-living and shared housing that works for plenty of people. The curated business that I'm running, I want them to interact with each other. I want them to have patience with each other. I want them to know each other's name, because I have found historically in the operational side, it reduces the friction between people if they have something that comes up. I leave dishes in the sink. I leave my laundry in the dryer. I park somebody in. I want them to know each other so they can knock on the door and say, hey, Fred, you mind taking the laundry out of the dryer because I got to put a cycle in? Instead of sending in a maintenance request for something so petty that says, room 3 keeps leaving their laundry in there. Bah, 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 I'm going to rate them bad. Like, listen, we're all humans. Let's work together. It reduces the friction. That simple action, I have found, will actually keep that person 1 extra month, 2 extra months, 3 extra months. That's the simple way I do it, is that I want people who want to stay for a long period of time because they understand the value of living here versus the other options that I have. I personally want to prefer to chase somebody on the economic scale. If the economic scale looks like this: 1, Section 8, subsidized housing; 2 and 3, it's kind of our normal targeted audience that we've always gone after, really affordable housing. We want people to come in. I'm trying to go on the upper side of that scale, 4, 5, and 6. People who may have options. And it's counterintuitive, right? But I think that the person who opts down from an $1,800 apartment into a $1,000 rent by the room in my house, who's not ashamed of the room, who walks into the house and they're like, I can see myself living here. I can even see myself bringing my friend over here to show them where I live, because it is not what they thought. This mental idea, this negative stigma of, yeah, I live in a shared house with 4 other people in a boarding house. Well, in my place, it looks more like an apartment, right? All my rooms are very standard. I happen to have now transitioned into using hotel furniture. So I have a hotel liquidator that I use. All my rooms look exactly the same, right? It's got the same hotel set. And I have found that I can learn from people who've housed people for years and decades. Hotels have figured out the kind of furniture that's durable, that doesn't get stolen or walk out, and it's very useful for the space and use for how people want to live there. So that's just how I've kind of evolved into. Some people still use the Amazon item list because they have access to it. They haven't really thought out the box about like, hey, what that customer experience is, because if you're new, you're learning every day. My first house had Amazon furniture, right? The learning that I had was I wanted to improve upon that first iteration because I've had 2 beds break. I've had 3 nightstands, break along the way. I've had the particle board dressers, the screws break. I've had to replace a lot of that furniture. So I've gone the other way, same amount of dollars, just invested differently. I have solved for the operational problems so I can reduce my CapEx over and over again as I continue to turn the rooms. My rooms and tenure tend to be a lot longer. I want people to go in there with the expectation of, I could see myself living here for a while. So that's the one thing to consider. Getting back to if you're a brand new host, where should I buy? That answer keeps coming up over and over and over again. So much of it develops into, where do you have a team? Do you have a network? Do you know people in that marketplace? Do you want to invest in your backyard? If you're a California person, if you're a New York person, if you're an Oregon person, you may not even have the option of buying in your own backyard. So let's go look at these other markets. As you look at all these other markets, how are you analyzing a good market or a bad market? Start by looking at the assets and the products that are there. Start talking to the hosts that are there. Ask for the introduction. So it's up to you to make the first step, and it costs you nothing. Create your host account, get into our sales cycle, meet your host advisor, start asking questions. The best reason people come to PadSplit should be for the data. My God, we have over 30,000 doors. We've been doing this longer than anybody else. Like boarding houses and Rent by the Room have been around forever. We have more data within our databases than anybody else. If you don't think the number one value you get from working with a PadSplit isn't the data, then you are strong. You're just mistaken. Investors like myself, professional investors, look at this and say, with more data, if I understand the business and I can connect dots, I can make much better business decisions versus, hey, I'm just going to take this 3-2 and make it a 6-2. And my God, let's hope it works. What in the hell are you doing? Let me introduce you to so many other investors that hate their first property because they're not making money, because they did not think of the operational side. I met with a woman recently. It's a side bit story, right? She has multiple single family houses, $200, $300 of income, a net operating income per house, until one of them had, a CapEx expenditure. So she lost $1,000 last year. She's like, I need more cash flow. Okay. She, on every medium out there, whether it be Bigger Pockets, whether it be Pace Morby, whether it be Jamil, whether it be Brandon, they're all talking about co-living. Let me tell you why they're talking about co-living. Everybody, these people are talking about co-living because the communities that you don't want to use the word pander, the communities that they build and sell to, the products that they sell to, most of it is around acquisition. Creative financing, no money necessary, or hey, we're going to burr. You need an exit strategy. And the only exit strategy right now, it's either really high-end Airbnbs or it's co-living. So why is everybody talking about co-living? Because their business relies on an exit strategy for people to go buy properties, buy their courses, go buy a property that cash flows. If you are just out there buying a property, but you have no understanding of how this thing's going to cash flow, you are setting yourself up for a big punch in the face financially, because you don't know what you should be buying. And the stupid buy box thing on a one-page thing, I want to rip that thing up and make you eat it, because at the end of the day, if you're out there looking for the buy box, I was told is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,800 square feet, not on a septic. Okay, there's a ton of those out there. And then you get into the nuanced stuff. You take information from the people that are speaking to you about the information that they seem like they know what the hell they're doing. And I've talked about them in the past, but I can't stop talking about it. I'm a professional realtor. I work with PadSplit investors all the time. And look at the PadSplit data on the website. It tells you it's 90% occupancy in this market. Okay. So you underwrite for 90% occupancy? So you have a 10% vacancy in your underwriting? And then the other logical things start to make sense. Hey, instead of getting a distressed property, we should invest and buy a fully renovated property at market rate. And then we'll put in the walls and everything afterwards. Unless you have too much money and you need a tax break, like a 1031, or you need a tax deduction before, it's like I talked to another investor who did this closely, and she needed to buy something before the end of December 31st because she had a tax problem. The good majority of our investors are brand new. A lot of them are mom and pops. They are not doing that. They're just listening to the person who's the loudest voice in the room. You need to start talking to more investors who are doing this, not the people selling you the components along the way to make money. Because if I'm a realtor, I make more money on you buying a $300,000 fully renovated house that's going to appraise at 302 magically than I will if you bought a $150,000, $160,000, $170,000 house that needed a big renovation. Everybody's got their own financial limitations. If you don't have $300,000 to go buy a $200,000 property with cash and a $100,000 reno with cash, and then you do a cash out refinance, okay. But there's other ways that people have been buying real estate for dozens and decades. If you use a hard money loan, that's an option. If you have a private money lender, that's an option. But you better understand this operating business that you're building. At the end of the day, it better cover all the expenses and make enough money. So with that being said, talk to the owner operators, not just the vendors that are selling you something. So the realtors, the general contractors, the furniture people, the internet, all of these people make money along the way, but then leave you and you're on this path and you're just on this train that you have to continue on because you now own the liability of that house. That liability better end up in a train station over here where it's pumping out enough cash flow where you're happy with the operating business. It's your world does not stop when you activate the property. Your world is I bought an operating business that has to collect rent every single week from this demographic. So when people ask saturation, I'm going to circle back to this. Are you saturated in the market in Atlanta? No, I am not. Why? Because I can see the data around what kind of rooms are in what kind of neighborhoods. Are there a lot available? Well, that might be saturated. So I don't go after a certain area of town that has a lot of the same asset. I look for a sector of the market where there may not be as many. I also have my own personal thesis, agree with it or not, in the macroeconomic status of today. And today is February 2026. I believe we're going to have an economic downturn. And I think it's going to affect $60,000 to $120,000 a year people. A lot of those either rent houses or they're in apartments. And I think there's going to be a downgrade for a lot of those people, and they don't have another option to go to. And they don't want to go all the way down here into these tiny little 9x10 rooms that, you know, have a bare mattress and nothing else. I want to provide an asset class that doesn't currently exist for $1,000 a month, where people are proud to live in it with 5, 6, 7 other people. And they can stay for a year, recoup, take their $1,800 housing budget, cut it down to $1,000, reallocate those dollars to do something better, like wait for their first home, buy that, and then I'll teach them how to house hack it if they're interested. I have several people in my current co-living properties. They've now just realized when I told them during their interview, My Rolodex becomes your Rolodex. It's not just housing, right? I want you to feel like there's more value than just the roof over your head. So two of them are now realizing, wait a minute, they spent the first year saving money or kind of spending the money extra that they had. And then the light bulb hit with them and they're like, wait a minute, you can actually help teach me how to buy my first house. That's an amazing conversation to have. So I'm super excited as I work with two of my members to learn how to buy their first property. FHA loan, they're going to buy a multi-unit, 4 or 5 bedrooms, they're going to house hack it. That's what I think is the beautiful thing about what we're doing is people can use housing, boop, save $1,000 a month, $800 a month, and then change the trajectory of what it looks like for the rest of their life. That would be an awesome story. I'm super excited about that. I just think there's so many different ways. This is how I talk. I'm so sorry about it. I'm all over the place because I have super ADD and OCD and all this other DDs. But in here, this noodle that's massive, there's so many things that I want people to understand about the benefits of housing and single room occupancy and co-living. Why do I do it? I have a member in my house that hasn't paid rent probably in a month. And it's not a bad thing. She's not paying it out of her pocket. She's now starting to do a lot of social media and referral bonuses and the user generated content that she's creating. People are paying her for that. So now, because of the thing that she's developing and putting out there for content and using social media, she's now having her housing subsidized as she continues to live in one of my houses. So it de-risks my business because she's getting her rent paid. And who's the rent paid to? This guy. So I want my members to feel like, yo, this is way more than just a roof over my head. This can be a vehicle for something else, which is so amazing. I told you guys my house, one of my houses is trying to start developing a YouTube channel because I would love for them to monetize that bad boy, and the stories that come out of my house are way more interesting than this Love is Blind nonsense or Making the Band nonsense or Orange Housewives of Orange County nonsense. Like that is some real living going on. And if they can create a YouTube channel for that and then have somebody pay them and monetize that, amazing. But at the end of the day, who that helps? This guy, because my rent gets paid. It de-risks that thing. Those people living in my house now have something to lose. So it changes the behavior patterns. Like these are all components, but the underlying business, it started by rent by the room. So I don't personally treat it as just an asset class. Many people find amazing success doing it. That's the fun part about being a part of a dynamic marketplace. So I know I'm overwhelming you with stuff. Just ignore the stuff that you're not ready for yet, but just understand that in this global space of shared housing, rent by the room, single room occupancy, it's not just 8 by 10, a mattress and a nightstand. Okay. If you can open your mind to all of these amazing things and by talking to other hosts and operators, you start picking and choosing from the buffet of things that are out there, what interests you. And that's the fun part about networking. That's the fun part about talking or working with somebody like me is that my network becomes your network. And all of these different options, multifamily people who own multifamilies that have low occupancy, they're transitioning 2 or 3 of their units into single room occupancy. And now they're, the people that don't qualify for the apartment complex regularly are getting into 2 or 3 designated apartments. They wait their 6 months, they requalify, go back into the regular apartment. These things are happening, So I'll get into some of that stuff. All right. What happens after you buy your property? A lot of new investors. So I'm speaking to you, brand new investor, super excited about this. You decided I want to go out there and buy a property. You give up the reins of the conversion to the general contractor that either you got referred to or somebody else told you about. The general contractor is just putting up walls and ideas and giving you an idea. If you don't have a good vision of what your business is going to look like, the customer that you're going to appeal to at the end of this construction, you're going to end up with something that doesn't appeal to anybody. So this contractor, you better go look at the other properties they've worked on. You better go talk to the hosts that they've worked with before, because that's what the contractor knows. I had a contractor. This was the project that I just released in Stone Mountain. He constantly kept saying, "Man, you're different than the other ones I work with." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, the product you're putting out is significantly different. I would have made 2 bedrooms out of this space. And what'd you do? You ended up making 1 big bedroom, and then you made 2 bathrooms and a walk-in closet, and then you made 2 masters out of that same space." He goes, "I don't know any other host that would have done that." He goes, "You're asking me to change the outside so it's more appealing. You're asking me to not convert a space and make a living room and put in a little kitchenette." He goes, "These are not things that I was used to working with other PadSplit hosts. I have an idea and a vision of the business that I want to run, the customers that I'm marketing to. So I think about it from the learnings of all of the things that are out there. I learned from Airbnb hosts. What does hospitality look like? I learned from hotel operators. You think about this, even in the Marriott chain, you've got the Fairfield, or that might be Hilton, whatever the case may be. You've got that, you've got the Courtyard, you've got the Renaissance, you've got the JW. All of these different levels attract different types of clientele. The finishings in the houses are different. The finishings in the hotels are different. The experience in the hotel is different. It's no different for us. Like, co-living in today's world is hospitality that is pretending and using, not pretending, but it's hospitality wrapped in real estate investment. Look at the struggles that Airbnb hosts are having. Listen, there are Airbnb hosts at this top crust killing it, but they're running a business. I listened to my friend Rob Abasola. He had an amazing interview when he was talking about Ryan Pineda was asking him, "Hey, is Airbnb dead?" And he was like, "For bad operators, it is." Listen, we're not even there yet, but like, I think that same message resonates today. Co-living operators who are bad operators are struggling. That's nothing to do with the platform. It's got nothing to do with the people that are coming. It's probably you're not a good operator, and the product that you're putting out there is less appealing. So in an open market dynamic marketplace, my product and experience is whooping your product and experience's ass. And it's got nothing to do with the marketplace. It's just got to do with, hey, it is a free, open business. Our customers have choice. So you make a decision on what kind of product that you want to compete with. You then have to spend the time to figure out, on this digital platform, how do I compete? Here's a nugget for all of you with low occupancy. If you're solely relying on the platform like PadSplit to give you all of your members, you're just a passenger on the ride. You're not in the driver's seat. Everything that I think about is, I'm the owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I know that I use PadSplit as a platform because it raises the floor, right? But then from there, the rest of it, it's up to me to run my business to be profitable. Do I have systems in place? Do I have a blueprint in place? Yes, I do. Is it constantly evolving? Yes, it is. Because I'm constantly learning from all of these other businesses out there, whether it be hospitality, Airbnb, very similar type of businesses, whether it be restaurants. My favorite book, if I haven't told you guys this year, is it's James Guder's, and it is Unreasonable Hospitality. If you have not read that book, I strongly suggest you do. But if you think about how you are building your business, and I apologize for keep rambling about this, identify which business you want to replicate. If you're a first-time host, go talk to somebody in your marketplace that shares your same philosophy. Clone what they're doing. There's plenty of space. Like, I hear these guys, "I believe in this mindset of abundance." Okay, then go do something about it. Go find somebody who's doing the exact same business the way you think you wanted to go do it, and copy the crap out of it. Listen, I keep telling you guys, I'm the most unoriginal person in the world, but I am the most observant, or one of the most observant, and I copy the crap out of the best in class. Why would I want to copy the worst in class? But I will observe what they're doing to learn. And then those lessons are the ones that I implement in my houses because it makes my business better. It's not rocket science. Copy, repeat, hone, copy, repeat, hone, implement it. That becomes your framework. So when I talk about a blueprint, a lot of people ask me, hey, can you send me your templates? I could send you all the templates in the world. But if you want to run the cheapest, most non-interactive house, my templates probably won't work for you because the business I run is different than the business you run. And what I want to make sure you understand, that's okay. Because in our total dynamic marketplace of 30,000 plus rooms, we have customers that just need the asset, really cheap housing because they don't want to live in their car. But we have this next little crust of people that people aren't actually targeting and marketing for. This is where I see Airbnb hosts that were struggling before. They come into our world and they're like, yo, I can actually do this in this space because I'm better at hospitality. I understand that people's needs from the beginning to the end. I understand how to market on a digital marketplace, like their hero shot. Look up hero shot for Airbnb because I can tell you a lot of our hosts don't know what that means. Because when I work with new hosts and they're like, why don't people book my room? Brother, your hero shot is of your toilet because you don't even understand our platform enough to know which picture is being projected out to the world. Would you book a room based upon a toilet? Or would you keep scrolling to all the other hundreds of rooms that are available because it's more appealing? It's so simple, but once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. This is the framework we talk about. My framework for coaching, if you want to work with me, it looks like this. It's like every other entrepreneurial business. Marketing. How do I get people to click my thing? Sales. Once I get them off of this big, dashboard with 20 houses on every little thing, how do I get them to click on my listing? Now they go into my shop. This is my house. Which one of my rooms do you want to pick? That's where the conversion and the magic happens from idea of, I think I like your house to, ooh, let me apply to your room. And then the magic happens. Do I want to allow that person into my house? Because this is my asset. Hey, reality check for y'all. Once they move into your house and you say yes to the booking, they are your responsibility. They are your liability. They've only paid 1 week's of rent and your move-in fee if you have one. You have to, it's you're taking on the risk. Will they pay me week 2? Will they pay me week 3? Am I going to have somebody that I have to evict? Hello? That's the risk that we're in. Nobody's guaranteeing you rent. They're guaranteeing you eyeballs. And then it's your job to take those eyeballs and convert them into sales. And then it's your job to take these sales and convert them into tenure. Doesn't sound as simple. It doesn't sound as, franchisee mailbox money, does it? But this business works right now, today. If you had to go buy a piece of real estate and hold it for appreciation, tax benefit, and some cash flow, there is no other exit strategy, minus the $1 million Airbnbs that are working right now. The best time to buy real estate is today. It's up to you whether you want to be the operator that figures out the operating business that pays for the real estate you just acquired. I hear people talking about, I want to buy 10 of these. Listen, I've gone property 4 I've purchased. I don't know if I want 10 of these. It's a lot of work, right? I can continue to grow this portfolio, but now I'm developing myself as a real estate investor. I now have assets that I can work with. I can trade or sell one of these, get a 1031, and then go buy a small multifamily and expand and diversify my portfolio. But right now, in the single family space, co-living, shared housing, pad splitting, it allows you to continue to buy where the tenants are paying for your mortgage and you continue to build this asset base. You continue to get the wonderful tax benefits. Welcome to real estate. It's a fantastic entry point, but it's not as simple as plug and play. You can hire a third-party property manager. Just understand the business and what you're getting into. You're not just going to buy the property, go live, and just wait for the money. You're going to have to operate the business. Talk to more hosts. Get from hopium to reality and decide if that is something that you're interested in. Welcome to our world. It works if you want to work it. Okay. I say that. All right. First 100 days. What's your first 100 days going to look like? You are new to the platform. You're excited. You have wonderful rooms. They're set up correctly if you were guided correctly. Now, the question is, you probably have 6, 7, 8, 9 rooms. They have average. All the rooms are priced exactly the same because the information you got was, hey, average shared room pricing is 165 or 175. So magically, when I look at your rooms, 175, 175, 175, 175, just like everybody else. We are in a competitive marketplace, y'all. So if your asset is just a commodity and everybody else around you who's been there for a minute, they're at 155, 165 with promotions, and you're sitting there, hey, I'm bright and shiny at 175. Why is that not going to book? You better put your feet in the shoes of the members, your customers who are looking. Does your listing stand out? Is it creative enough that it makes me want to stop the scroll and click into it? They'll go from the marketing billboards into your shop, your list of rooms. There's people doing a lot of creative stuff that are beating the crap out of the algorithm that you know nothing about. Get in the game, figure out the product itself. Ask your contacts at PadSplit how to do it better. Find other hosts that are doing it better. Don't just die on the vine, shriveling up with no cash flow. Improve your listing. Learn, okay? You're going to have to then understand what happens in the booking process. Somebody likes my room. Somebody books my room. Do I want to allow them in? Answer that question for me. Do you have a process, because you are now a landlord, where you can ask questions or screen, or decide if I don't want to screen at all, I'm just going to accept everybody, okay? You can go down that path. I don't know if I necessarily do that, because I personally screen every single person, because in my business, it is my liability to allow this person in. I am taking that risk. I'm actually, in essence, I view it as I'm issuing this person credit because they've only paid for week 1. And in our world, most of our tenants are non-credit worthy. So I have to make a decision. Do they have the earning power to pay my rent on time? Do they have the desire to live in this house peacefully? Do they want to be part of the community? Those are the 3 major things that I'm trying to surface through this questionnaire. And then if I say yes, do I make their experience so good that they feel like they have value and they want to stay? And they feel like, hey, if I leave here, I'm going to be worse off than if I stay here. That's my ultimate goal. So if I can say yes to those questions, this is the framework. This is the secondary questionnaire that I asked. Try to surface the same type of customer that I want, because I know the customer that I want. Do they fit in that avatar? Do they fit in that ICP, ideal customer profile? Do I de-risk the things that I need to de-risk, which is, can you pay me? Are you a criminal or are you a jerk? And then do you want to live in a community? And do you feel like you get value of staying? If I can answer those questions through my 33 questionnaire, secondary screening, then I say yes. And then it's up to me to start the work. It's up to me to start the work of being a good hospitality provider and giving them more and more reasons why people stay. So there's a framework to it. Marketing, yes, I get them to click on my listing. Sales, I screen them to see if this is the person that I want to give access to my house to. And then customer service, do I get my work on? Do I start working to keep that person in that house feeling value? Little deposits in the value bucket. I would trade $100 TV for $800 a month in rent all day long. If they stay for a year, would I trade $100 TV for $10,000? Probably. Do I want to give a mini fridge that I can get for $50? Probably, if that makes that person stay 3, 4, 5 more months. It's just math. Okay. You have to ask the question, do I want to let this person in? And then what happens after they move in? If you have not manipulated your move-in instructions to be like, hey, does this experience from the time that I accept their booking and they get the information, do I understand it as an operator? Do I know what information is being communicated? The lock codes, the door lock codes, the instructions on how to get into the house. If I don't know that because I just was so excited to get a property activated that I just hit, default settings everywhere, I'm probably in trouble. I'm still learning. I had to change my intro video for the house tour because members couldn't figure out where room 4 was downstairs. They're walking all over the damn house trying to find the room. So now my videos give you a video instruction on how to get to every single room from the front door, because I don't want to have to be at the house to be a guide. I can use videos for that. Use the platform to use your business the best way you want, and squeeze the juice out of the platform by getting creative about what you want to do with it. Okay. So just understand, get out the box, stop taking the default settings, start looking at it from your customer's perspective, and figure out how you can manipulate, the product to your advantage. Keep that in mind. All right. People management. I have met so many hosts that the light turned on for them. Oh my God, this business, to be successful, is more about people management than it is about house management. Welcome to reality. We sell our product to multiple people who live under one roof. So financially, 6, 7, 8 individual streams of income is way better than one. We know that, but it's not the same type of business. You can't run co-living houses the same way you did single family rentals. It's not just one person to keep up with, right? You have to understand that every single person has their own different desires and needs. This is where talking and communicating to the members in your house to understand the things that are good for them, that they're struggling with, their goals that they want, the things that they don't like. You may be able to save somebody by transferring them from one property to another property and keep them for another year. Or you can ignore what their needs are and they're going to move out. And then you're going to have to deal with vacancy, room turn, getting somebody else in. Somebody else that does come in, they can have friction with rooms 2 and 3, and now you lose 2 more pieces of revenue. Each individual person should represent 6 to 12 months in revenue. What are you doing to keep that person in the house? Consider that. Tidbit. Okay. I'm all over the place, but tidbit for the day. Communicate with your members. Okay. Here's a nugget for you. Part of my screening questions is to improve my operating business. Every single person that went through the motion of selecting my property off the marketing page, clicking into my sales page of my house and choosing a room, they did it for a reason. I ask every single person, why did you select my room? Why did you select that room? What words or what part of my listing attracted you to it? I take those notes down, I capture them, I incorporate them and modify my listing. So more and more people, if this is my ICP, my ideal customer avatar, who selected my house, who chose to move in, who passed my screening, I want more of them. So I go back and I change the bait, the listing. I incorporate all of those things that they gave me for positive feedback and modify my listing so I attract more people just like this woman or man. Because why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we learning from our customers and the feedback? I constantly have a feedback loop. So I have a QR code on the back of every door. Give me positive or negative feedback about the room that you're in, about the house you're in, the experience that you're having. I'm constantly evolving because I am customer obsessed. I believe, this is the learnings that I get from Jeff Bezos and the readings I get is if I continue to be customer obsessed, more customers will come. My customers refer more to my houses probably than most. Why? Because I solicit referrals. I build an environment and a community where they want to bring their friends into and they're not ashamed, right? They're proud of the fact that they hashtag rent smarter. When you look at my listings, it's called hashtag rent smarter because I want them to start from the very beginning to understand their experience as a renter is their own intention. They're making the choice to rent smarter. I'm giving them finally an option from an $1,800 apartment to a $1,000 shared house. The reason I choose houses not in this compressed and condensed areas is because I want that person to think, hey, this is a better neighborhood than I've ever been into. A lot of different ways to consider it, right? People ask me, why do you choose houses that are in the suburbs that require cars. I'll tell you why, but this is a nugget to consider for your acquisition. If I'm on a bus line in a compressed city area where everybody else seems to have their houses, right? Financially on a spreadsheet, it probably makes sense. Those houses probably work on the spreadsheet. What I have learned from the human side is that the people that are renting rooms in that area probably haven't left that neighborhood their whole life. They probably lived in a 2-mile radius of that house. I'm looking for tenants that have made the move to live in a better place. The neighborhoods that I'm buying houses are probably the best neighborhoods some of my tenants have ever lived. That's what I want. The reason why I want more cars and the reason why I choose houses that have plentiful parking is because of this. I'm de-risking my business. De-risk. De-risking what? If that member were to lose their job and they own a car, they have the ability to go find another job, but the job radius that they're looking is probably 50 miles. If I'm in my house and my asset sits on a bus line, that person probably has a 2-mile radius to look for another job. Who's at risk? I'm at risk. Because if they lose their job, they're still in my house, not paying rent. And now I have to go through the process of evicting them from the house for non-payment. I don't want to do that. I never really want to do that. But that's the reality of it. I need my asset back so I can sell it to somebody else to make money. So why do I choose neighborhoods outside of the normal ring of houses? That's one of the reasons why I choose to do that. Plus, my brand that I'm building, it's better than. And that's one of the reasons that I continue to build very similar houses, because I want the referral to be to my portfolio, not necessarily the platform. At the end of the day, as an investor who's a co-living investor, I want to use the platform. I don't want the platform to use me. That's a simple way of thinking about it, right? It's just like everything else that you guys are paying for. I want to use, and get the most out of the services that I'm paying for. I'm not just arbitraging my house to the platform because they're not paying me a monthly rent to do that. So I have to operate my business as an owner, operator, entrepreneur. And I just continue to find different ways to do it. So much to talk about. Sorry for being all over the place, but as a new host, I wish that you would open your mind to consider it's not just about buying the property in the beginning. It's about learning more about the operating business. It's not black and white what we do. Everything's gray, from the zoning to the legal to how we deal with people. It's gray. We make money the more and better you understand the nuance of co-living, the better and more specific you will be to who you're targeting. If you think you're buying a house that's made for everybody, you're making it for nobody. All of these sayings, they apply to our business. Narrow down who you think you're focusing on so that when you change the wording in your title, the pictures that you present, you know who you're attracting, right? Put the right bait out there for who you think you're working with. It narrows down the spectrum of people and personalities and the places that you're looking. All of these things get affected when you have a really good vision of the business that you want to run. All these other decisions start falling in place. The quality of furniture, how you're doing the photos, the size of the rooms, the neighborhoods you're buying in, the kind of videos that you're putting out there, the referrals that you're getting from the members. You want it to be very easy to describe your house to potential customers, and even easier for your existing customers to describe your house and experience to new potential customers, because it reduces your net operating expenses. A lot to be said. Continue to listen. I hope if you have any specific things you want me to talk about, put it in the comments. Understand, if you're interested in learning more, go visit CoLivingiQ. That's our site. See what's out there for resources, information. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.